Is SEC basketball possibly set up to dominate the next decade of college hoops, much like they did in football? Locked On SEC Squad Edition starts right now.
You're talking ball with the SEC Squad, sponsored by Game Time. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC Squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up. You're part of the SEC Squad.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into the SEC Squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get you ready for another week talking all things SEC. In today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome in our panel as we are joined by Clint Chamblin of Locked On Bulldogs, Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy, Jimmy Stein, Locked On Bama. First-timer, Jaron Spohr joining us, host of Locked On Mississippi State. And, of course, the man of the hour, he is Brandon Olson. He is the host of Locked On Gators. And the Florida Gators won the men's basketball national championship. So before we even get started, before we even open up to the squad, let's let Brandon gloat here. Brandon, 60 seconds on the clock. Go ahead and gloat.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think I need 60 seconds. I beat, let's see, your team. Yes, I did all that. What was it? Yeah, me personally, not Florida. Best conference of all time. Florida went through the tournament, won it. Florida went through the national championship, the NCAA tournament, won it when the Final Four was 4 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams of all time. It was never in doubt. No game ever gave me any bit of stress. It was very obvious that Florida was going to win every single game. Like Texas Tech down 10 with 3 minutes left. That was nothing. Florida easily won that one. It's good to be king again. I will say that it is good for the Florida Gators to be back on top of the SEC. Looking forward to staying here for a long time.
I'd like to take throw a dart in the direction of our Locked On Big 12 cohorts because they talk so much trash about
those losers.
Yeah, about
losers. That's what we call them, losers.
Hey, look,
call them runners up.
No, losers. We call them losers.
Okay. All right. We'll call them losers. There you go, Brandon.
It was the best conference all year in basketball, and they backed it up by winning the championship. But I want to pose this to the rest of the squad. Where were you on Monday? Were you rooting for Florida? And, conference pride maybe a little bit overrated? Or is it, hey, those Big 12 bastards are, spewing off at the mouth like, hey, yeah, we want the SEC to have a little pride here.
Look, the Florida Gators, their win resulted in me being the champion of my school in our bracket challenge. I won a $50 gift card to Chili's.
You're welcome.
And a big trophy, and I get to walk around for a year going, yeah, I'm the best college basketball picker in our school. So
I think the most depressing thing I heard today was a $50 gift certificate via Florida. That's got to be the worst sentence of all time. But good on you, Corey. No, the answer is no. I don't ever root for Florida. There's not a day in my life I'll root for Florida. The Big 12 losers on the other side were delusional as well. Delusion runs all over the place. I am a fan of Florida. People that chant SEC, I'm confused by. I don't ever have a conference gear on. Not one day in my life. So you won't hear me cheering ever for any other team besides Georgia. I will cheer against certain teams. And to be honest with you, Houston came in with so much swagger, thinking they were just going to walk through. And you said it, knowing what the SEC was this year, just saying, slow your roll, field. Like, if you gave me odds before the tournament, which people did, SEC school winning the national championship, I took those easily because somebody from the SEC was winning the dang thing. And sure enough, it happened. So no, there's never a day in my life I'll cheer for anybody besides Georgia. However, duly deserved, and the Big 12 guys are delusional.
Yeah, I was cheering for
who did you want to win that game?
Who did I want to win that game?
Yeah, who did you want to win that game?
A black hole to envelop.
Okay, it sounds like a lose-lose to you. I feel like you were just hoping that it was like Batman when he just implodes the field. Like you were just like, just do it.
I'm just here to not get fined is what I was there to do, okay?
Hey, no, I agree with that. I do not root for the SEC just because they're in it. So I'm with you. Now, I rooted for Houston because I had a personal tie. I went to Kelvin Sampson's basketball camps growing up, like all of them. So I kind of wanted him to win. Big fan of his, but no, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't root for SEC teams. I don't root for anyone but Mississippi State. That's the team to root for. So was happy though for Florida because I do have a friend that he's a big Florida fan. So I was more happy for him, but I do not root just because they have SEC on their chest.
People that root for conferences are people that don't have a competitive team.
You hear that,
That's what
Gordon?
I'm convinced.
You hear that, Locked On SEC?
Let me ask you this though, Clint. If it's the freaking Alamo Bowl, or I don't know, the Independence Bowl, and it's Arkansas versus Texas Tech, you're not going, hey, come on, Hogs, conference, because they do the whole thing where they put the conference records, like,
Okay, the one exception I cheer Sam Pittman. I would cheer for Sam Pittman. Okay, like those who. So I have allegiances maybe or leanings in the SEC to coaches that were in. If a coach leaves the SEC, Dan Lanning, go blow up every single team you play at Oregon. Like I'm cheering for you in that sense, but it's not Oregon I'm cheering for a one-time dog. So if I see Texas Tech, Oklahoma or something, I'm like, maybe I have a more understanding of the teams from the SEC. So maybe I lean knowledge-based by that, but I'm not getting up on the couch cheering for them. No.
Yeah, I'm not cheering for anybody, but I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oklahoma won. Makes our conference look good. All right. Yeah. I'm kind of indifferent, really.
Jimmy, let me ask you. I know you were saying under no circumstance do you root for Auburn. Who were you rooting for on Monday night?
Yeah, to me, it's a case-by-case basis situation. I don't think it's a blanket deal where you just root for the SEC, when your team's not in it. But it's a case-by-case thing. I didn't really – I was pulling for Florida, but I didn't – had Florida lost, Brandon, I wouldn't have, been unable to sleep. It would have been fine if Florida had lost. But I tend to pull for – the SEC, those are the teams I know, right? We know the league. Even when our teams aren't playing, we watch the SEC network, listen to your show, Chris. We know the other teams in the league. Those are the players we know. Those are the coaches we know. I don't know if pulling for, cheering for is the right thing, but I wanted Florida to win, I guess, for the league. I do think it's a recruiting draw for the comp. When you play in the best league, I think that helps recruiting wise when you're recruiting kids that might be considering Big 12 ACC schools. But, I wouldn't say pulling or cheering for, but, if I had to pick one, I'd have wanted Florida to win that game for that reason alone. Even though Alabama had beaten Houston this year, Alabama beat Houston last year, had Houston won, you could have said something, but hey, Florida was the best team in the league. And I'm glad that an SEC team won this year because we spent all year saying the SEC was the best basketball conference.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not ever about, conference pride. I don't care about, chanting SEC. I more want the SEC teams to win strictly so other conferences can't, like you mentioned with a bowl game, like strictly so Texas Tech or Big 12 fans or Big 10 fans can't go, oh, well, we went 4-3 against the SEC in bowl games or anything like that. Like that's all I'm a hater. I want the SEC to win strictly so other people don't get to talk trash about it with that stupid ass talking point.
Yeah, I mean it happens. That's
you're muted.
I mean, go ahead, Clint.
No, I think you're exactly right. Hating is much more of a fandom than cheering for another team. And look, if you're going to talk about, if you put side by side Oklahoma, Texas, even on my radar against a team like Ohio State, I'm going to hate Ohio State far more than I do the teams in conference. Rivals, Auburn is trash. Florida, you have that Gator hate, like all that. But look, give me other conferences that think they're a big deal when they're not. Now, all of a sudden, I go, well, why don't you just slow down tier 2 teams? Like, chill out.
Yeah. And to Jimmy's point, there was a lot of people that were like, the SEC isn't as good as everyone says it is. So Florida winning kind of validates that the SEC did win. Right. So in that sense, I was kind of pulling for the SEC.
Well, even Auburn getting in the Final Four validated it too. Like you had half the field in the Final Four.
I do feel bad for every SEC school fan because I recognize that Florida is one of the most hated brands around, and it's like, oh, well, if he wanted to have the SEC pride, then
there's some pride in that. There's some pride in being the Darth Vader of the league.
Oh, I love it. Come on now.
I just want to read you guys the title of the Big 12 show from
please. I got it sent so many times.
It was called Stolen referees gifted Florida championship over Houston. Big 12 robbed. So I just wanted to read you guys that.
If there's anybody on the planet who's going to go ahead and say that it was gifted to Florida, it would be this guy if it was true. Trust me, I would have jumped on that. I would have made a whole podcast about it. It was not. Florida won the game. And trust me, like your biggest hater is going to go ahead and jump on anything that smelled of it. There wasn't. Stop it, guys. What do you say?
Houston folded, and they can't handle it.
They can't handle it.
It was
sharp. Shoot.
Yeah, well, it was the 3 turnovers down the stretch that cost you the game. It's like they said Duke was the refs cost Duke the game because of the over the back. No, it was making one shot in the last 10 minutes that cost you the game. It wasn't the over the back call.
Yeah, I think if Drake pulls his head out of his ass and wipes a tear out of his eyes, he'll be able to properly watch the game and evaluate it and realize that refs were horrible, but it was not one-sided in any way. I don't know why the refs in the second half decided, hey, we're going to call everything right now. But they sucked on both sides. And I think that genuinely, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, this is just my experience watching the tournament, I feel like referees were horrible the entire time. And it never really felt one-sided. It was just, they felt horrible in every game that I watched. It was a cluster, you know what?
Hold that right there, because when we return, I want to pose the question, could SEC basketball, look, they're sitting in a great spot, a lot of dominant power programs right now. Could they be set up to dominate college basketball for the next decade? Not going to say they're going to win every year, but the next decade, kind of like they did in football. We'll discuss that next here on the SEC Squad. Back to the squad in just a second, but the NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. And right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you will get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You'll love how FanDuel will make betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into the player props. They have got it all there for you, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways for you to bet your favorite player props. And plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win even bigger. So don't miss out. If you never signed up before, head to FanDuel.com. Go claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, join FanDuel, place your first $5 bet. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's at FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app, get signed up, and let's roll with FanDuel throughout these NBA playoffs. Roll along here, guys. SEC Squad, and of course, wanted to pose the question to you guys. SEC wins the first national championship in men's basketball since 2012 when John Calipari and Anthony Davis did it. The SEC got back in 2014. It was Kentucky again with Calipari and the Harrison twins. They lost to UConn, but Florida winning for the first time in 13 years. It's like, hey, SEC, welcome back to men's basketball. Of course, Florida won it twice. Billy Donovan, 06, 07, those years. And then, of course, before that, I mean, you got to go back the Nolan Richardson days at Arkansas. So, like, it's few and far between. But when we look around the landscape, guys, of what at the top, you've got Bruce Pearl at Auburn. You've got Nate Oats at Alabama. You've got, Rick Barnes at Tennessee. You've got Florida and Todd Golden now. And then you got some of these other teams on the rise. Calipari at Arkansas. Mark Pope at Kentucky. I think Chris Jans is underrated at Mississippi State. There's a lot of good programs. Is this the start of maybe some dominance from the SEC in basketball? Because people are asking me, clearly they'll take a step back next year. I don't know, man. These programs look pretty damn strong.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's a lot of
only going to be stronger.
Coaches. Yeah, great coaches. NIL investment is flowing heavy right now, and basketball is becoming, more and more prominent right now. I think that a lot of it comes down to coaches. You named 7 of them, and there's still multiple good coaches around. Chris Beard at Ole Miss, not a good person, but a good coach at least. Hiring Sean Miller at Texas. Like, there's a lot of good coaches around in the SEC, and like I said, like NIL investment. I think that the SEC plays a style of basketball that wins right now, and so for the next, I see this trending upward for the SEC.
I know for I can speak for Vanderbilt, especially right now. They just really got 2 big 6'10" guys for their front court out of the transfer portal. I mean, they're investing big time in NIL and building their roster from their weaknesses. So Mark Byington gets in the tournament his first year, which everyone picked him dead last. He's only going to get stronger with that nucleus.
Yeah, it's money and investment. That's what it is. It's money and investment. If the SEC isn't an extremely strong basketball conference, that's on the SEC. I think everybody's pretty much excited about the head coach they have, and there's no question about the revenue in the SEC, whether you're talking the SEC network, the money that the league just made from most of the league making the NCAA tournament. I think it's just money and investment and hiring the right coach, and everything's in place for the SEC to be this good for a long time.
Now, the one thing I will, just like college football, I think we have to shorten our horizon from 10 years to 5-year increments because of NIL, because there is no stop. And until there's reform, and I keep saying that, we're going to lose these coaches. That's going to be the program builders themselves are going to get burned out and done because there is no stop clock. There's no calendar that says you can't recruit. I know we have dead periods. That's a myth. There's no such thing in the NIL world with dead periods. So these top tier coaches are going to go on to other greener pastures, or they're going to pull 2 weeks before the season begins. Oh, I'm dipping. I'm retiring. I'm done with this. So I'm going to go ahead and short it for the next 5 years. I think SEC is here to stay. If you look at even the recruiting services in the top 20, you got 4 or 5 SEC schools, which that hasn't been the case. There's been 1 or 2 in that, but now all of a sudden transfer portal. I know for Georgia, get a Cal kid to come back home to Georgia, a guard who's a shooter, who's a scorer. That's going to be something. You look at the recruit rankings, they're there. We're taking them from guys like Duke and North Carolina, who's just gone off the radar, and they're coming into the SEC. That's where the coalition of talent is. Will coaches stick around to build the program? Because we have the money. SEC wants to do it. That's going to be the question for me. So if you're talking 5 years, yes. Next 5 years, I think we dominate.
I'm interested with the coaches because I feel like they're less likely to jump ship, like in college football to the NFL. It's vastly easier to work in the NFL. So I don't know just how much easier it is with college because there's not nearly as many people to recruit. So I'm curious how many guys we see make the jump.
It's going to be like either that or Bennett, where he just says, I'm dipping, I'm done, I'm not doing this thing. That's going to be the alternative.
I was going to say, like, to leave for a better job. I mean, Chris Beard, let's face it, if he has another great year at Ole Miss, another, big job could come calling. But, like, how many other bigger jobs are there? Like, Auburn, Bruce Pearl has made Auburn into a power. Like, would he leave them for North Carolina? Like, I think he's in a great spot at Auburn. Same thing with Nate Oats. Like, his name keeps popping up, but Nate Oats has got a pretty damn good thing going in Tuscaloosa. So I just look around outside of Buzz Williams skipping off to Maryland because it's just what Buzz Williams does is he leaves every 4 to 5 years. I think most of these good coaches are here to stay. I don't know if there's another sexy job that would come along.
I know what we believe at Alabama. When Nate Oats didn't take the Kentucky job a year ago, we took that as a signal that when Nate Oats leaves, it will be for an NBA job. When an NBA job opens up that appeals to him and he's offered, I don't think at Alabama we'd be shocked if Nate Oats moves on to the NBA. But it would be really shocking to Alabama fans if Nate Oats took another college job.
Well, even like Hurley, like that varnish on that is already starting to fade. There's love lost for a lot of it. So a guy who was at the height is already coming down and trickling down. I think these schools have a little bit of wear and tear on them, and maybe a place. Nate Oats is a great example. Man, he's found his niche. He's going to be there. I think he rides that out until he does go Donovan and go elsewhere to the NBA. But man, I'm just thrilled. We're going to have very good basketball. And if you're going to give me odds that we're going to have another national championship winner from the SEC in the next 5 years, I'd happily take that. One of these schools is going to pop again in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably going to be it. Auburn probably will. They have some staying power. You can pick one of 7 teams from this year to put heavy odds on. So
I should add too, guys. Lamont Paris jumped in the portal right away when the portal opened. He added 4 big time recruits or transfer guys to South Carolina, and then LSU did the same thing with Matt McMahon. So the 14 teams made the tournament. The 2 that didn't dove into the portal immediately, started adding names, and now Texas hires Sean Miller, who does anybody think he's going to suck at Texas? Like, I think he's going to be pretty damn good. And then the one that really got me was this past week, A&M hires a guy named Bucky McMillan from Stanford. And again, it's not sexy, but they're saying Bucky Ball is coming to College Station. So if he turns out to be good, again, it creates a tougher environment on everybody else in the SEC.
Yeah, in Alabama, we know quite a bit about Bucky being from Alabama, and I can tell you 2 things. He does not have the resume to be the head basketball coach at Texas A&M. And secondly, I'll sort of be shocked if this doesn't work really well. I mean, Bucky's always the smartest guy in the room, and I don't say that lightly. He's a very, very bright guy. He's won, at Samford. I don't know what kind of fair test that is, but I won't be shocked at all if Bucky McMillan is a big thing at A&M.
And he fits what the SEC is shifting toward, with like the very up tempo, a lot of threes, go get offensive rebounds like that. Like they fit. I know people look at the name Bucky and are now laughing, but stylistically, he just fits what the SEC is doing right now with a lot of these teams.
And he's going to have the NIL backing at A&M. So
yes.
I mean, that's big in this.
The supply of money.
You can win there.
Blood money, he can.
You can win there.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, South Carolina, LSU, the two teams that didn't make it, they're already building. I think maybe next year the SEC isn't as good at the top, but I think overall the league as a whole might be better because South Carolina and LSU will be better.
Yeah, I thought they sent the message by winning, all those non-conference games that they won with the interconference challenges. They held their own in that, and that's what sparked. So it was like you could go 500 or sub 500 in the SEC, but you built up such a good non-conference resume that it seemed to have a little bit of carryover there. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be fascinating to see. I know Kentucky, they are adding a couple pieces already, and people are worried if Mark Pope gets them going, what Calipari, if he recruits at a Calipari level, who knows? And speaking of Calipari, look at Arkansas. I mean, Sweet 16 in year one, maybe he's got a little juice left in the, in the tank, whatever.
And I think a lot of people looked at Arkansas specifically, and they were just like, oh, like they're one of the worst SEC teams to make it into the tournament. They were very streaky all year round. And that Sweet 16 run, eliminating St. John's, who is looked at as, one of the potential contenders there, and to knock them off and run into the Sweet 16, and lost to a very good Texas Tech team in what was a great game. I just feel like, I think a lot of people overlooked them because of, they didn't look like one of the top teams in the SEC, but that just speaks to the strength of the SEC this year.
When we come back, guys, we're going to switch gears to football, but we're taking a basketball topic with us. Who is the Todd Golden of college football in the SEC? Who will be the next first-time head coach to win a national championship? That's coming your way in just a sec. Roll along here on the SEC Squad Show, and guys, we saw Todd Golden win his first national championship at Florida this past Monday, and pose the question to you as we look ahead to college football. Of course, we've got some spring games or spring, whatever the hell you want to call them right now, happening this weekend and next week, scrimmages, practices, whatever they are. But it got me thinking, who is the next young, rising, up-and-coming coach, or just coach who's never won a championship before? Who's that guy for you in the SEC and football-wise?
Does Sark count as young? I mean, to me, Texas is going to win the national championship at some point. I think, particularly with Arch Manning taking over at quarterback. I mean, I think Texas has a good shot in the next couple of years, back-to-back Final Fours, to use a basketball term for Texas. I don't know that Sark counts as young, but he hasn't won it before. I think Texas will eventually win one. They're on the front porch consistently.
Jimmy, I had high hopes that when Luke wasn't here and you came on, we'd get rid of the lunacy from Alabama takes. I really was hoping that you bring some sanity into this conversation. Texas,
that's your fault. I hope you
Georgia.
That's an indictment of your judgment.
Yeah, Georgia beat Texas twice last year, so they probably don't take Texas quite as seriously as maybe everyone else. But no, I think with their recruiting and their NIL budget and Sark, I think it's almost inevitable.
For me, it's with Texas. I'm kind of just like, I feel like every year, even when they were with the Big 12, it was like, don't worry, this is the year they do it, and it's never been the year, and so it's tough for me to buy into them. If
you had to put money on it, one of these guys will win a championship in their lifetime. Steve Sarkisian or Kalen DeBoer, where would you put your money?
Kalen DeBoer.
DeBoer.
Really?
Kalen DeBoer. I'm here to tell you, he did one stupid thing. Jimmy, tell me if I'm wrong. His stupidity last year was that he tried to make Milroe into a player that he never was. He tried to force. Milroe into something he wasn't. If he played to his strength, I think Alabama's in the playoff, and I think they beat a team in the first round.
Two stupid things.
I really think, and now he has his OC. He's got recruiting. It's still Alabama. There's still a thing. I think Kalen actually has a good thing going.
He lost to Oklahoma, though, right? I mean, they
that
were
was
because
and Corey and to Corey Burton.
Vanderbilt.
But DeBoer did beat Sark when DeBoer was at Washington. He beat Sark twice. When he was the head coach at Washington, he beat Texas in both of the years he was the head coach at Washington. So he has beaten Sark. I think it's to me it's about the dudes. It's about the dudes. It's the Jimmies and the Joes, and that has to be addressed. And maybe I'm holding Arch Manning in maybe too high esteem. We'll see this fall, but I don't know. I think that's tough. I just think Sark's been consistent over the past 2 years. If Sark continually puts Texas on the front porch, they'll eventually knock the door down. But hey, it's tough in this league. It's tough to get there because you have to go through the SEC to get there.
Hey, Auburn, to go back to basketball, Bruce Pearl's had them competing for a long time. He's gotten them to the door a lot, and he's never made it through. So
twice.
I think the point has to be maybe you're just like maybe you can get him there, but not over the hump.
I think Sark's the easy question or the easy answer, but the sleeper I would put is Josh Heupel. I think Tennessee has a chance at some point to get through it, especially with the recruiting classes they've had.
For those listening on podcast form, Clint and Brandon both were disgusted.
Jerry, actually, you know what? This is how disgusted I am. He's gone. He's gone. That's what we're talking about.
I am beside myself. He would be the last on my list of other. I would take Sark above him. I would take. Josh Heupel. His plateau is already reached. He has reached the pinnacle of what he is. But that's, of course, I hate Tennessee. So
that's possible. The reason why I was saying that is I feel like Sark and DeBoer are the easy answers, and I just don't want to give the easy answer. I want to give someone more difficult. And I love Mississippi State, but it's not Jeff Levy. So I was trying to think of someone outside the box. Yeah. I like Mike Elko too, but I just don't think Texas A&M could get it done. So overall, I went with Tennessee.
What about Lane? What about Lane?
So I can't pick Lane as a Mississippi State fan.
I don't think so. I think it'd be fun because Lane is sort of fun and the quotes would be great.
This is going to be a wild comparison. And honestly, this is an indictment, I think, on Florida fan because Dan Mullen and Lane Kiffin are very, very similar to me. Dan Mullen had a bunch of things going right, beat Georgia for the first time. A lot of Florida had a bunch of things going. Florida fans get pissed. I think. But couldn't go over them. I think actually Lane Kiffin has some of those, beat Georgia, has some good things going. They're going to turn on him and he's going to pull a stupid move eventually. He can't help himself but shoot himself in the foot. Like he can't get out of his own way. He's brilliant. Like Sarkisian is a better offensive mind. Lane's the second best, I think, within that hierarchy. And it's really close. But Sark has delegated a bunch of stuff away. Lane has not done that well and he hasn't learned big time games. I think he shoots himself in the foot again. Maybe there's an assistant somewhere because I don't think any current head coach in the SEC, honestly, Glenn Schumann is probably got 1 or 2 more years before he's gone out of Georgia. I don't think he stays in the SEC. I think he goes elsewhere. But there's got to be somebody because of all the names of the SEC, I don't see a coach winning the first time championship besides the 2 guys we already listed. And maybe I'm wrong.
As long as Kirby, Sark, and DeBoer and those guys are in the league, I just can't fathom saying, oh, it's going to be, Shane Beamer, it's going to be Josh Heupel, it's going to be Mike. I can't say any of those names because it just wouldn't be true.
I feel like
let me throw one out.
Okay.
Brian Kelly?
No. Hell no.
No.
Gordy.
Hell no.
Gordy, he had a Heisman Trophy winner and the 2 best receivers ever.
Where is Zach to make fun of Gordy trying to throw LSU into this conversation?
I'm putting it out there because Nussmeier is right up there with Arch and all, among the top.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. Yeah, Jaden Daniels.
He did. If he doesn't win multiple playoff games this year, it is a giant indictment on his coaching. He has dudes. He's got the quarterback. He's got everybody there. This is ridiculous if he doesn't win it. Or multiple games.
Les Miles and Ed Orgeron won national titles at LSU. It's obviously something that's very doable. Now, they didn't have to go through this format. I don't know that we
Right.
talk about that enough. I mean, I think it was, luck's not the right word, but it was a little easier, I think, to win
Mhm.
the national championship before you had to go through this format. I mean, the day of Cinderella is over. I mean, Cinderella could go to the college football playoff and win the first round. You're not going to beat Oregon, Ohio State, and Georgia all back to back to back. I mean, you got to be really good to pull that off. And LSU typically has dudes, but Brian Kelly hasn't been really good on both sides of the ball since he's been there. He's tend to have, good on defense when they got there, now good on offense, but they haven't been a complete team since he's been there, or at least enough to compete with the rest of the league.
Yeah, I look
I
at
think
Brian Kelly.
I was just gonna say it's a great take by Jimmy. Like I think real hot
Like
take,
every
guys.
other coach outside of
I
the
don't
big
think-
three. He's just.
I don't think. Good.
I think with Brian Kelly, you didn't do it with Jaden Daniels. You're not going to do it now. I do not believe in him at all. With Lane Kiffin, I feel like his best chance was last year, and he didn't even make the playoffs. I feel like that was a tremendous roster, great coaching staff. Didn't get it done, and part of the reason he didn't get it done, part of the reason he didn't make the playoff, was his own doing. I mean, that Florida game was winnable for them, and instead he decided, what we're going to do? Run with our D tackle like 7 times, and when it wasn't working, it was the first time they ever got stopped. They got stopped multiple times, and he kept doing it. And it's one of those, like Clint mentioned, Lane shoots himself in the foot sometimes. He makes some bad decisions.
The Kentucky loss at home. I mean,
things
that
like
just can't happen.
Like he does.
Yeah, I'm
those,
watching-
I'm going to throw Billy
I'm
Nate.
watching all
Saying.
Yeah. I watch all these draft shows that are talking about Jackson Dart now as a first round pick, and I'm going, I think that was Lane's shot last year. Like that was his chance, and he blew it.
It was.
Other way, Clint.
No, yeah, he had all the transfer portal. He had all the guys on defense. He had everybody all together, and he couldn't make it happen.
It was their best shot. You wonder when they're going to get a better shot than that. Jaron said, they lost to Kentucky at home, but it's tough in this league. You don't get weeks off. You can't.
No.
If you bring your B- game, you're going to lose no matter who you're playing in this league.
I will add, outside of my coach, the one coach I want to see win one is Shane Beamer. I just don't think he can at South Carolina, but I love Shane
Never
Beamer.
Never in his life.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it won't happen at South Carolina, but I do like Shane Beamer a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Great dude.
I mean, I like Barkley a lot, but he's just not going to win.
Right.
Jimmy made a great point about the current playoff format. You want a real hot take? I don't think Saban wins 7 national championships in this current. If this playoff format had been going for years, it's hard to get through that. Look, Ryan Day, give him credit. I mean, they run a tough path. I think it's going to be a lot harder for a lot of teams to win a championship in this current format. So.
I want the Roll Tide fans to come at Gordy as hard as they come at me in the comments for what he just said, going against the greatest of all time. Please, for the love of all.
I mean, there was a time at LSU he was a 0, national championship winner, and he won the first one there. But some people argue it should have been USC and Oklahoma that year. What I mean? So it's like to get there in this current format is a lot tougher. And you're gonna have a lot of coaches that maybe in other years would have won a national championship that won't win it. But
from here on out, when you hear some national pundit predict some random team from the Big 12 or the ACC or Illinois or even an SEC team that you wouldn't pick at the top 2 or 3, I'm just going to laugh. There's no way that a team like that is going to survive the 12-team playoff. You got to be a team full of dudes. There's only one way to do it. And Ohio State, sure, they had their loss at Oregon and to Michigan, full of dudes. They were a team built to do that. There's very few teams that are built to win that many big games in a row.
Other way.
Gary Patterson at TCU will never get there again, right? I mean,
Nope.
So you're saying SMU just wasn't equipped? Got it.
That's my hot take. That's my hot take, Corey.
And Indiana.
Indiana. Oh yeah, Kurt Signetti. He's an up and comer.
Even the teams that didn't do it, like a Georgia, they lost a little early, but Georgia's built to do it. I mean, they could have done it. Even my Alabama didn't qualify, nor should they have been in. But if they gotten in, that they could have won a couple of games. Mm-hmm. But SMU was not. Indiana was not. You're not going to win more than one with that field.
SMU had no shot.
All right, gents. we will leave it there. Appreciate you guys for checking us out. Appreciate you guys for jumping in. Remember to follow and subscribe to your favorite SEC show. We'll be covering your favorite teams all throughout the offseason. And don't forget, I'll have you covered on the entire conference every day with Locked On SEC, part of Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Everyone have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next week.